how's it going, everyone? Mr. Smith here. Welcome back for semester 2 of AP Computer Science A, or AP Computer Science Principles. Purpose of this video is we are moving forward. Before the end of first semester, we focused on loops. So we were learning about while loops and for loops, and we did a lot of practice with them. So this semester, we're going to continue that practice, but we're going to add a new concept. We're actually going to look at the string object, or string API, and we're going to start doing problems and practices using string operations. All right, so that is where we are headed. All right, so the first thing you should do is when you get on It's Learning, you should take a look at the notes and the lab. So the first thing I have posted for you are notes on string operations. All right, so basically what a string operation is it's a series of methods that we can use to get information out of or manipulate strings. For instance, the first example here is length. So if I had a string that was Mr. Smith, all right, I could use the .length method built into the string API to actually find out how many characters and spaces, basically anything that is in an ASCII code, it will return and count that as part of the length. All right, we can access a thing or access strings using charat. So for instance, we have computer science, and we're looking for charat 3. Well, our index always starts at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 will return the P. All right, and we discussed this a little bit first semester, but we're just revisiting and practicing with strings. All right, so strings start from 0, and then the index increases through the length of the string. So these are the two big ones, and this is actually what this video is going to talk about as I go through the MatchMaker lab. So let's take a look at the lab. So lab 1 for first semester is a lab called LovePhonyPig. It consists of 3 problems. Love stands for the matchmaker problem. Basically, you put in 2 names. It counts how many L's, O's, V's, and E's are in each name. And then based off that, it tells you whether or not those 2 people are compatible. So it's like an early Match.com algorithm, but not at all. Second problem is text to number. We'll probably take a look at that beginning part of next week. And the third problem is Pig Latin, which is something that most people are familiar with. There's a pretty basic algorithm of how to manipulate a word to turn it into Pig Latin. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. What this video is, it's tutorial and enrichment for the matchmaker problem. So I'm basically going to walk through step by step exactly how to do this. All right, so let's get started. So as with every single project we do, you're going to crank open NetBeans. You're going to go over here and you're going to click this, I guess it's a gold box with a green plus, and that'll start our new project. Once we get it open, we just got to name it. Just going to call mine Matchmaker. Real easy, real simple. All right, opens up. Y'all know that I like to make space so my videos are clear. So I'm going to remove all the initial comments. By this point, you should know this part of it. So let's take a look at the lab. All right, Matchmaker. First thing we got to do is read in the names of 2 people. As I've told y'all, reading in or taking input, whenever you see that, you know that you need, hold on, wait for it, y'all tell me, a scanner. All right, so we need a scanner. So I'm going to go through the steps because new semester, might as well review. So step 1, import scanner. So that is import java.util.scanner. All right. Step 2, we do step 2 right here, and this is we actually create the scanner. So because we're creating the scanner outside of the main method, we got to make it static. So static scanner keyboard is equal to new scanner system.in. All right, step 1, step 2, step 3, prompt the user. So this is where you would say, All right, and I'm going to use print because I want them to type their name right next to my prompt. So this is where you would say system.out.print, please enter name 1. All right. Then step 4 would be store user input. So we just need a string name1 is equal to keyboard.next line. All right, so just a quick review. We have two things. We have keyboard.next and we have keyboard.next line. All right. .next will only save the first word of input. All right. This one saves the entire line of input. All right. So why this is significant, if they put in, let's say they put in Mickey Mouse, this command .next will only store Mickey. All right. So if you want Mickey Mouse to be stored, so if you want Mickey and mouse both to be stored, you have to use .next line. All right. So you got to remember that. So we want, it could be Mr. Smith or Jesse Smith. We could enter full names, so we need to use .next line. All right. So we have had the user input name1. So now we need to repeat the process and have them input name2. So I'm going to just say, please enter name2, and then I'm going to store it. So string name2 is keyboard.next line. All right, so take a look at our lab now that we've got kind of that first little thing done. You should then total all the LOVEs. All right, so basically what we are going to have to do is we're going to have to go in here and let's use my name, Jesse, right? If you take Jesse, we basically have to cycle through my name or loop through my name, and we got to count any LOs, V's, or E's. All right, so we're going to write a loop where I is going to be equal to 0, and in that case, when I is 0, we're going to take a look at the J and then do nothing. All right, then I is going to become 1. All right, and when that happens, we'll be at the E, and because we're at the E, we're going to have to increase a counter. Oh, that is oh so tragic. But you get the idea, right? I clicked off. So int I is equal to 2. When that happens, we're going to be at the S and do nothing. Then I is equal to 3. And at that point, we're going to be at the other S and do nothing. Then I is equal to 4. And then at that point, we'll be at my E, and we're going to have to do the counter again. All right. So this is kind of the logic that we've got to do now, right? We've got to loop through the letters of my name or whatever name's inputted, and we got to count the LOVEs. So let's do that. All right. So we're going to go back into NetBeans. We know we're going to need a loop, so we're going to do a for loop. All right. Got my for loop here. We're going to start int I is equal to 0. Now my condition. We got to start at the beginning of my name and go to the end of my name. So I is going to increase through the letters until we reach the end of the name. So we need the length. All right. So this is going to be as long as I is less than name1.length. All right. And then just I++. So that's how we're going to set up our loop. If I think about it in my head here, 0 is going to be J, 1 is going to be E, 2 is going to be S, 3 is going to be S, 4 is going to be E. Then I want it to break. The length of my name is 5, so 4 is less than 5 will get to the E, and then when it becomes 5, it'll break. It makes sense to me. I'll explain that a little bit better in class, but this is what we're rolling with. All right, so now that we have our loop, we just have to check to see what each letter is. So I'm going to say if name1 dot, or name1 dot charat. So remember charat I explained at the beginning of this video? I'm going to see if the character at I is equal to L. All right, I'm checking to see if the character is equal to L. All right, and then I got to increase a counter if it is. So we need to go up here and create a counter. We need a variable. So in the main method, actually. So this will be our variables. Int counter1 is for name1. And we're going to make that 0. So let's go ahead and make counter2 for name2. And we're going to make that 0. All right, so if the character at I in name1 is L, then we're going to increase counter1. All right, pretty simple, not too bad. One thing though, all right, if we go back and take a look at the lab, it wants uppercase or lowercase letters. So I got to look for that little l too. So I'll go back into NetBeans, and I have to use my logic operator or, because I want to say big L or little l, and I do the same thing. Name1.charat I is equal to the little l. All right, so I just need to do the same thing now for each letter. So L, then O, then little o, then V, big V, then little v, all right, then big E, then little e. So every time it encounters one of these letters, it increases the counter. So if you got two L's, two V's, and an E, your counter will be 5. All right, if that makes sense. So not too bad. But now we need to do it for name 2. But me as a programmer, I should probably test this first, make sure it's working okay. So let me just print out the counter and see what I get when I put in my name. So if y'all remember a minute ago, I did my name, Jesse. I have 2 E's, so my number should be 2. So when I run this, enter name 1, Jesse, name 2, Bob. All right, counter 1 is 2, which I wanted because I got 2 E's, so I'm looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and comment out that line because that was just for testing. And now I'm going to copy and paste this whole loop. The reason why is this loop is for name 1. All right. The reason we got to have 2 loops. My name is Jesse, Jesse, so it's length 5. My loop runs 5 times. All right. We need a second loop because what if the name is Muhammad Ayad? All right. Don't know how many letters that is, but it's a lot more than 5. So I need a loop based off the length of the name that's inputted, so that's why I have to have 2 loops. All right, so right here, this loop is for name 2. I'm just going to paste. All right. Make sure you're where you put your comment, right? I'm where I put this loop is for name 2. All right. I just need to now change name 1 to be name 2. All right, and notice it highlights them in green for me. If I put my cursor on name 1, it highlights all of them. Put my cursor on name 1, highlights all of them. Same thing. All right, so just kind of make sure you're getting every single one of them. Name 1, name 2. All right. I also need to change the counter because counter 1 was for name 1. So now we need counter 2, counter 2, counter 2, and counter 2. Quickly double check myself. If I highlight counter 2, they all highlight. If I highlight name 2, they all highlight. So I don't see any other name 1s or counter 1s. They're all up here. All right, so let's go ahead and test. So I'm going to copy, and I'm going to paste, and I'm going to say counter to and counter to. All right, so I'm going to start using my wife as an example now. So Jessie, and her name is Tiffany. All right, the name Tiffany does not have any L's, O's, V's, or E's, so her number should be 0, mine should still be 2, and that's what we get. All right, so at this point, it seems like everything is working out as I want. So I'm going to go ahead and comment these out because they're just for testing. All right, so what's the next part of the lab? If the number of love letters combine, so we need to combine those two numbers. So let's do that real quick before we go forward. So at the top in our variables, we need love number. Oh, sorry, love, camel case. Love number is equal to 0. And down here, after we've calculated the two numbers, we can just say love number is equal to counter 1 plus counter 2. We're adding the two counters together to make one love number. All right, we go back into the lab. If the number of love letters combined between both names is odd, then you will print they fall madly in love. Okay? If it's even, then they're not destined to be. We're putting a lot of faith on this algorithm right here, but let's do it. All right, so even and odd. We learned this in first semester. All right, so I'm going to, again, that's my testing stuff, so I'm going to leave it. All right, so check for even or odd to verify if in love or not. All right, so first semester we learned this. We use modulus. All right, so even or odd, you use mod 2. All right, use modulus 2, which is also represented by mod 2. All right, so what we're going to say is if love number modded by 2 is equal to 1. All right, so if you divide a number by 2, let's say I got 7, I divide it by 2, I come out with 3 with a remainder of 1. So that's what this equal 1 is. So odd numbers have a remainder of 1. So if you ever mod by 2 an odd number, it's going to come out with 1. So our lab says if they're odd, you need to print that they will fall madly in love with each other. Gross. All right. They fall madly in love with each other. All right. There's only two options here, even or odd. So we can just, for the even, we can just say else. And don't need parentheses because you don't need a condition. Else they are destined for divorce. All right. You can make it say whatever you want. Have some fun with it. All right. Either madly in love or destined for divorce. So yeah, I mean, that's it, guys. If you read through that lab, that's all it's asking us to do. So let's test it, right? I'm going to run it. I'm going to use my full name. And I'm going to use my wife's full name before we got married. And we're destined for love. Ain't it a good world? All right. You know what I realized? I want to go put a little fake heart in there. That's what I want to do right here. A little, one of these guys right there. Little ASCII heart. All right. So, you know, I can check things. My favorite power couple, Justin Bieber, Haley Baldwin, destined for love. Who's another good couple? I don't know. Should I put my parents? Just see. So Sonia Smith and Michael Brown. That was their names before they got married. Ooh, not good. My parents ain't got a shot. But it's a fun little program. The algorithm makes no sense whatsoever. This is not calculating love, but it reviews loops, and you get to learn about string operations. So just to kind of review, string operation dot length checks the length of a string, and charat allows you to find the character at that index, whatever index it is. Here we're using I, checking what characters at that index. All right, so those are the kind of the big concepts here. I hope you've made connections in this video. We're gonna practice a few more. If you take a look at the lab, we got 2 more problems I'm gonna be covering with y'all in the next week. So I appreciate it, guys. I do ask if you want to go and subscribe, like, share, whatever to help me out. I'm trying to build up the channel. And other than that, I will see y'all in class, and I hope you have a great, great week.